It's the. Okay, it just. Okay. Rick, you're our president, right?
You can be yeah,
We are live.
it's all right. It's okay.
You're ready to go.
I'll call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of May 5, 2025.
Okay. I didn't know if it got printed out or not, so here. This is what you passed out, actually. Yeah, I can. Snag it for this time.
Everybody get a chance to look those over. Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll second my lines.
I am. Christie. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Five oh. Favor. Nothing on the agenda for old business, so we will move into new business. First item in new business is TIF districts.
Sure. So I'll start. So at the Financial Solutions Group, Charlie and Greg Garitas are online virtually. And they have prepared a TIF analysis looking at ways for the county to maximize options to see additional tax revenue. So anyways, I'm not the expert, so I'll let them explain this packet of information here.
Good morning, everybody. This is Greg Garitas. Hopefully you can hear us. And Ashley, I'm assuming that every board member has a copy of our report.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so Charlie's going to walk through each page of the report and kind of go through since our discussion last week and kind of go through that report. Is that okay?
Sure.
Good.
Perfect. Charlie, take it away. And are you going to present it also so that public can see it?
Yeah, if I can present or share my screen, I'll do that. So I sent a request to do that.
Yeah.
Somebody will have to let me.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, we're doing it now. Where Christie's doing it.
You should have permission.
All right. Can everybody see that now? I've got the cover page of our report up.
Okay, it's coming up now. Hang on just a second.
Okay, perfect.
I'll have to change ours. Give me 1 second. On our, hang on just a second, Charlie. I was trying to get it to show on our projector.
No problem.
Go ahead, they've got it in front of them, I'm trying to get it to come up on our projector though.
That sounds good. So, and I'll kind of go through this quickly, but if anybody has a question, please stop me as we go through this. And the overall idea behind this is we know we have some large projects being completed by AES in the next couple of years. And we were looking at different ways to give the county some flexibility, especially given the Senate Bill 1 changes to the tax system, and just opportunities to capture some of those projects in different ways. And not that you would have to, but we wanted to point out how the county could do that if you chose to.
And Charlie, we should point out that it would mean creating a new TIF district, as you're going to go over here with the letter, and doing that, some of that work before 12/31. Right?
And that's exactly right. So the timing of this, if you chose to proceed, would be to create a new TIF area around these AES projects, and that would have to be, the declaratory would have to be done before 12/31. So that's our timing, to make sure we have the potential to do this. And then next year, you could decide if you wanted to capture assessed value, or we'll have more information. Right now, as you'll see, we're using some estimates, and these are all big numbers, and so those estimates have a big impact on what our analysis is. But here's our letter of transmittal. It just kind of tells you what we're doing. We're really looking at the utility distributable property. So we've got 3 big projects there. We've got the Petersburg Energy Center, which is really the solar farm. We've got the battery storage project is the second part, and then we will have a third piece as they redo from coal-fired to gas-fired on the main power plant. So I'll go to the next page, and if you can see this, your copy is probably better than what would be on the screen anyway. But the first page 1, we've called this a conservative estimate, so the numbers are smaller here. The column under page 26 are actual numbers. So we know that the storage part of this project will have an assessed value of just a little bit over 36 million for page 26. It was 0 for page 25, so that's a big increase. And we also know that is not a full assessment. So they had a lot of the project done as of January 1, 25, but it was not complete at that point. So we're estimating then for page 27 that it will be complete. And so the key date on that is January 1 of 26. We're assuming the storage project is fully complete and fully assessed. And again, this is kind of the conservative estimate, 108 million on that assessed value. The next page will go to a more optimistic assessment based on what AES has made in some of their public announcements. But we don't have a good number on that yet. The other line there, the second line, depreciation, we know this project is going to depreciate quickly. And you can see how quick that adds up. It's the schedule we're presenting as a 5-year modified federal tax purpose abatement, so they get to depreciate that quickly. And really, within the 5 years, the value of the project for assessed value could go down to 0. So the whole idea behind this is, instead of letting your assessed value go way up and then way down, to levelize the impact. So if we don't do anything, you're going to see your tax rate go down. It's definitely going to go down for 26. It would go down even more for 27, but then it starts to go back up. And so if we don't have that yo-yo effect on the tax rate, if we keep the tax rate flat, or at least impacts from this flat, we can capture that increase in assessed value in TIF revenue. So everybody would keep the same tax rate. The rest of the taxpayers wouldn't see any changes in that. But we would get the bottom line down there, the net taxes, that's what we would capture in TIF that the county could use for projects in or serving that area, which could include some school projects if you wanted to, or road projects, or public safety is even an eligible use of TIF revenue now. So there's a lot of options to do that. But just on that first piece, the energy storage, you can see what those numbers are. Are there any questions so far on that? Okay, and so the second project, we've got the energy center, that's the solar farm. Same thing, January 1 of 25, we had a $27 million assessed value. The project was not complete. That's just a construction in progress amount. We've assumed the same, we've made the same assumption here. We're saying that it would be fully complete January 1 of 26, which would give us that full assessed value for pay 27. And again, these are low numbers. We labeled it conservative. We think the assessed value will be more than that, but this is kind of just to give a baseline of what the impact could be. We do the same thing with that. We depreciate it over 5 years. You can see what happens. We go from a really big assessed value in pay 27 all the way down to possibly 0 in pay 32. The last project we've got here is the power plant itself. We haven't made any assumptions to that yet, although we know that the conversion process is going to start. Very good chance the assessed value will drop when that happens, and then it should go back up once they retrofit to a gas-fired plant. But for now, we've just kept that constant. And then, like I said, this bottom line gives us what the TIF revenue could be. So in this conservative option, that estimate, it's not a lot, but it would be in 27, you'd have 2.2 million. 28, it would be almost $700,000. And that's if we created that TIF area and we captured the increases in that utility distributable property.
So Charlie, quick question.
Yes.
The
Yes.
more I look at this, so I understand pay 27, pay 28. But as you look at page 29, it shouldn't fully depreciate until like 2032, as you say. But
Well,
like why?
And that's a great question, Ashley. And the reason we're showing it like that is we're saying that pay 26 number is the base. So like on the storage project, 36 million. So we need to capture assessed value greater than that. And so when we get to pay 29, because of that depreciation, the assessed value of 31 million is less than what it is for pay 26.
I see.
So
Okay.
Ashley, we even kind of, we talked about this a little bit on Friday. And if we wait much longer, it may not work. And actually probably doing this last year might have made the most sense, but that's water over the bridge.
Well, we didn't know Senate 1 either.
Lot has changed since then. That's for sure.
Okay.
So this is our conservative estimate. It's a low, low threshold, I would say. So let's go to the next page. And we've called that our optimistic estimate. So pay 26 is the same as the first version. It's just when we get to pay 27, we've used, again, I think some of the public announcements AES made regarding the project. So we've assumed the storage project would be 150 million. And the solar farm would be 550 million. So we've increased those total values. We're still saying that the projects would be complete and fully assessed by 1/1 of 26. So that assumption is still there. But you can see the values of what we could capture are much larger. And so by giving you the two, kind of the low end and the high end, that gives you a good idea of what we're talking about. It's probably somewhere in the middle there. But this gives you some range of what you might have to do some of those projects we were talking about. So any questions on this page, I guess, before we go further? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about tax rates. So if you get more assessed value, your tax rates would normally go down, right? So everything else being equal, tax rate goes down. You don't get increases in new revenue, except for really two kinds of tax rates. So there's a tax rate that's limited based on actual rate. So like your CUME capital development fund for the county, it can always stay at 0.0333. So if you get more assessed value, tax rate stays the same, the county gets more revenue from that. The other funds are under the maximum levy that the state sets. So they can go up for pay 26, they can go up by 4%. So tax levy can go up for that. But if we get more assessed value, let's say we get 10% growth, which is what we think will happen from this, we don't get that difference between 4 and 10, the tax rate goes down. So for most of the county tax rates, that's the situation. And the school has the same thing. Although the school doesn't have a tax rate controlled fund, the state did away with the capital projects fund for the schools several years ago. And so the school only has two funds. One is an operating fund that grows by that maximum levy, and that's going to grow by whatever that growth quotient is or whatever the state sets it at. And the other fund they have is a debt service fund, and that one, you get whatever you need to pay your debt. You don't get extra if you get new assessed value, but that tax rate could go down as well. So we're not, by capturing this assessed value, we're not really taking revenue away because those funds don't operate like that. They're going to they'll go up or down on the tax rate, but it won't change the property taxes that come in other than the circuit breaker. So when we get at the circuit breaker, you lower the circuit breaker if the tax rate is lower. So there is some benefit from lowering the tax rate because that circuit breaker would be lower. So there is a little bit of benefit to that along with the lower tax rate. So any questions kind of on tax rates or how that tax revenue comes in? Okay, and the next couple of pages are on a bond issue. If you said we've got a project we want to do in 2026, this revenue is not going to come into 27 or 28. We could do a TIF bond and get that money earlier and then pay it back from the TIF revenue. Now, if it was this conservative estimate, that doesn't really make sense to do a bond really for this smaller dollar amount. But if it's somewhere in this higher level and you really needed the money for a project, you could do a bond for that. We could also borrow the money from ourselves. Basically, we could do a reimbursement obligation where we create, from your edit fund or, another fund of the county that has some cash. We could pay for some projects and then pay ourselves back, which is a little bit more efficient than having to go out and sell a bond, to a bank or somebody else like that. So there's some options down the road to do that. We haven't, we're not really to that point yet. We just wanted to bring this up as an idea and say, if you're interested in this at all, we need to get that declaratory resolution set up and create the TIF area before the end of the year. So that would just preserve this as an option. And like we said, next year, And we would get more information from AES too. So we're kind of dealing with estimates at this point, and until we know if the county's interested in this, we don't really want to push that with AES. But that's something that we would work on between now and next year to get a better understanding of what the values are really going to be. And I would kind of leave it at that. And like we said, it's best estimates right now. It's just an idea of something the county should consider. And we'll just leave it at that. So any other questions?
Can you explain, like, so if you don't tip it, even though we see that net taxes for both the conservative and the optimistic options, can you, we wouldn't see or realize that amount of money if you don't tip it.
Right.
Right.
That's exactly right. So what would happen if we don't tip it? All of the tax rates would go down. So the school, the county, the township, everybody's tax rate would go down, which is good. But you wouldn't get any new money to use for projects. And then as that property is depreciated, your tax rate would just go right back up. And so you have that yo-yo effect of tax rate going up one year, going down one year. Most of the time it's better to kind of manage that, and people want certainty of what the tax rate is going to be. And so that's the idea here of trying to keep a flat tax rate, not let it go up or not let it go down, and capture that extra money for projects, because we know you've got projects that you need to fund. But that's the key point, is we're not taking any revenue away. We're just not letting the tax rate drop as much as it would have if we don't do this.
And Charlie, additional point that's kind of important to the redevelopment commission is each and every year, if this is captured, each and every year we could flow through a certain amount for tax rate relief, and then also for projects, which would also involve the school or something like that. So this gives the county the most flexibility going forward with this large swings in assessed value.
So this is Greg Willis, but this would require creating 3 TIF districts then?
That would give you the most flexibility, Greg, if you wanted to do it that way, because then each one would kind of stand on its own, and you could decide to pass through assessed value or not in each one of them. You could do one large one on all 3 of these. That just limits your flexibility a little bit. So that's a decision you can make. But if we're trying to make this the most flexible that we can make it, we would want to do 3 separate areas.
Or we could do 1, 2, or 3.
Correct.
With the power plant on the gas conversion, so they would be starting that until 26. So
That's what we understand. Yeah, the first unit they want to start converting in 26. Yeah.
But will that show, will the assessed value of that decline then for?
We
what I
believe
don't
it.
wanna have,
Yeah.
there's some value in making sure that it always assesses in value, or the increment would assess and not lowers, because that's working against the tip. So
Yes. And
I didn't know if that's the right time to do it, or if you'd wait.
that one on the power plant, we would wait. We would not put that in the TIF area right now. That's also a good point. Yes, because that is going to go, most likely that will go down at 1/1/27. They'll be in the middle of the conversion. the value probably will be lower then. So we probably would want to keep that out right now.
So, yeah, actually, probably at the end of 26 or as the conversion starts, they will write down the generating asset. They will eliminate the coal pile, which is a fairly significant asset, and all of those should be taken off. And then once it's, they call it the COB date, once it's commercial operation date, then it will be put back into rate base. So not only will they be able to appreciate it, they will earn a return.
Thank you.
Now, these assumptions are only dealing with personal property tax, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
And the assessment on the land, at least for the solar project, that land will be assessed much higher than it is now as farmland.
Yeah, and we want to review that a little.
Wouldn't that additional assessment be captured in the TIF district as well?
It could be, yes. And we need to do a little bit more work on that with the actual parcels and see, sometimes once they start working on that land, they may have already reclassified it for pay 26. But we need to look at that and see what the value is now. Has it already gone up, or is there still a possibility to capture that? We have not done that yet, but that's a good point too.
Greg, our point was to bring it to the redevelopment commission. It's October 6th and the clock is ticking. So what we wanted to do is get at least any other information that you may or may not want to see, and help you move in the right direction if you want to move.
But generally what you're saying is if we do 3 separate TIF districts, we would need to implement and start the process on 2 of those before year end.
Yes.
The energy storage, the battery storage, and the solar project.
Yep,
But
that's right.
Hold off on the power plant project.
Yep, that's exactly right.
What does the timeline need to be? Like, when are we required, if we want to get it in before the beginning of the year?
We would need to do the declaratory resolution at a minimum before 12/31.
Okay, so it just has to be, that's the only thing that has to be done by the end of the year?
Yes, yep, and we'd want to confirm that with your attorneys, but most of the time they agree with that. There's some that want you to get the confirmatory done by the end of the year as well, but I think normally it's just the declaratory, so.
So is there any other questions that we can answer for you, or is there any other analysis you'd want to see?
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is Mark. Tell me again why we would not do the power plant just yet. I mean, the storage is just right beside the plant, real close. Why wouldn't we do the power plant again? I'm sorry.
On the power, so when you create the TIF area, you're setting a base value. So if we do it this year, the base value would be 1,125, which is what we're showing as pay 26 number. So that power plant has a $93 million value. When they start that conversion process, it's likely that the value will go down. And so we would have a negative captured assessed value. So we don't want that. And so we would wait until the value goes down and then create the area around the power plant. So it's just a matter of when do you want to set that base value date?
Because Charlie, the growth would be negative, and in essence, we'd have negative TIF.
Right.
Thank you. But then the redevelopment commission, if the TIF districts were established, there would be some sizable amounts of money coming into the TIF districts, at least for, until the projects are fully depreciated. And then it would be up to the redevelopment commission to decide what projects to use that on. Or
Yes,
how,
that's
or how to
that's
share that revenue.
that's exactly right. The RDC would make that decision.
And Charlie, we recommended to Ashley kind of, let's make sure that we don't want to take into account a tax exempt road and maybe make the district somewhat unusual looking, so that we might advantage the school, or we might advantage a road project or something like that. Because if more of the assets or the improvement areas are within the TIF, that helps make the argument in or serving. And remember, the state legislature was trying to get rid of serving in the TIF statute. So far, based upon majority of the bond councils that we talk to, or TIF councils, they're okay with in or serving. Up in Allen County, they're not, and they are taking a different interpretation. And in Allen County, that's not real. So my point there is, we want to be very, very flexible. We want to be very strategic. And we're hoping that between now and year end, it shouldn't change. But you got to take all these things into account.
I have a question, and because our superintendent's here and it would impact the school, I know there's only certain things you can use that money for from the TIF district, but because the school serves the TIF district, we can use that money for the school if we so choose, right?
That's the way we believe it would work, for capital improvements for the school. And then, there is a little bit of money you could use for training programs with the school that, for operating costs, that would be something separate. But for capital items, the RDC could do that, because you're right, the school definitely serves the TIF area.
But in Christy, I believe that was your question. The training for, vocational and things like that, we actually introduced that legislation up in Lake County for the city of Crown Point many, many years ago. And they've been successfully using up to 10 or 15% of their TIF for vocational training up in that area. So it is something you again want to explore, but in this TIF district, remember, it's going to be revenue in and revenue out, and it's going to be, we believe, fairly quick in and out. So you've got to have thoughts of sustainability in anything you do in that area for vocational training.
Okay, I just kind of wanted to clarify, because I was told during the training session when I was first started that your the money made off that TIF district needs to kind of go back into that TIF district, that there was limited things you could use it for. But just wanted to verify, because the school corporation serves basically the whole county, we could use the money for them if they had a project or something.
Subject to bond council, we believe that is correct, and we have done it Avon schools, different schools throughout Crown Point schools. We've done it throughout the state.
Okay.
Sorry. So I think by statute, school can request up to 15% of the increment of a TIF area. And I could be confused between a residential TIF and a typical development TIF, but I do know there's some language because we were checked on that before.
So if we pass two declaratory resolutions before 12/31, and then later have a decision that we don't want to set the TIFs up at all, are you bound to go forward just because you did a declaratory resolution?
You are not bound to move forward with it. You just wouldn't do the confirmatory, and the TIFs would never be created.
So even though we're under the gun, time-wise, if we did this, there would still be a way to not go through if we
Yep.
so chose.
You could still change your mind. That's right.
Then, do you fellas have any idea what kind of fees we would incur to establish the TIF districts?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think it would just depend on what law firm you would use to do that. I would, normally we see around $5,000 to do that, but it could be a range, and it also would be dependent on if they had to come in person for a meeting there, how you guys like to do that. So 5 to 10,000 probably is a good estimate.
Okay. No, I didn't know if it was 50,000, 80,000.
No, I don't. It shouldn't be that much to set it up.
If it's 10 grand or less.
Ashley, we're not talking about that many parcels, right?
There's several parcels in the solar project.
Yeah, that would.
It's about 2,500 acres.
Okay, and when you say several parts, so what is several to you?
It's 100
100 or so? Okay.
Yeah,
or more.
So Greg, our fee is pretty minimal. I guess maybe backing up, what an attorney would charge you, a bond counsel, Indianapolis, it may vary, and maybe it is 15, 20. You would need to check with them.
okay. And ultimately, if TIF bonds were issued, there would be larger fees with the bond issue, obviously.
And that would be paid out of the bond issue, but the way we're looking at this is we're probably 6 months to a year away from that.
Right. But if we didn't issue the TIF bonds and just use the money as it came in, then we wouldn't. What's the downside to just spending the money as it comes in annually, as opposed to doing a project up front and letting the revenue over the years pay for the bond, retire the bond issue?
Really the downside is just the timing. If you need the money sooner to get the project done quicker, That's really the only reason to do the bond, if you can,
Besides the
yeah.
projects that were in your hopper, I assume.
Correct, and some of that needs to be spelt out, in your spending plan that's due later this year. And it depends on the amount, Greg, right? If you need
Right.
if you have a project of X amount and you want to try and get it done, and you want to try and build it before the prices go up even further, but you do not have to do a bond issue, period.
Okay. I thought that's how that would be. I just wanted to make sure so everybody could hear what I thought was the understanding. And in
Absolutely.
terms of just a declaratory resolution, would be preparing a 1 or 2 page document.
Which we actually, we would just need the parcels
Have to put the legal
and the
description.
map, yeah. I mean,
Might be a chore on the solar project.
Hey, yes, for next year, has something that.
I was trying to look up real quick what we had paid the firm the last 2 times we've done it, but I'll take me a minute to get it.
Any questions, fellas?
Do we need to make a decision today then, probably?
We're gonna have to meet again for our spending plan, but we can talk about it today, but I don't figure we'll be able to, we're probably not ready to approve it, so that's due December 1st, so we will have to meet again.
If we meet in November, who all passes the declaratory resolution? Commissioners and councilmen?
I believe the confirmatory is the only one that has to go before the commissioners, but I will have to double check.
I think the first council.
Okay,
Just
so just redevelopment for the
I don't
county.
think I've ever sent one to the
Is it
council.
not?
I think so. I think the confirmatory, I know the attorney said had to go, since we didn't have a plan commission, it had to go before the board of commissioners. But I don't know about I don't. Not 100% sure, actually.
Well, in the past, when we set up TIFs, we were setting up economic revitalization areas with it.
Yes. Yeah, that does have.
So that's where I
guess.
if it's just TIF. Charlie or Greg Garitas, do you know?
What we really recommend is that once you get your attorney, they can give you a timeline. So I would think Christy and Ashley, that's what we need to do. And we need to say that we're looking at these possible 3 districts. Could you please give us a timeline and confirm that they only want the declaratory? And so that is best, and then get that back to the redevelopment commission so we can determine the timing of their next meeting.
Yeah. You're right. It's RDC.
I think it's going to be just RDC, and I think you're going to be fine. But the answer is they also, different firms and different people have different interpretations. So.
Yeah. Like his aspects.
If we were the attorneys, we would advise you to further, but we're not. We're the CPAs. So.
I say we move on to the next steps, whatever,
You don't have anything to lose. Like, to do it, right?
say push forward.
Okay. I think I feel comfortable with my understanding. Charlie and Greg. I think.
Okay, well, if you've got any further
I think
questions,
everybody else
I do.
understanding as well.
yeah. If you've got any further questions, you can get them to Ashley and we'll answer them.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye.
Who do you guys wanna use for attorney?
What,
Who do you wanna use for legal?
who we've used in the past?
Ice Miller.
Everybody happy with I smell?
Had any issues in the bathroom?
We haven't ready to change the stage. I mean,
Does everybody understand why they feel three would be better
still one big one.
instead of one large one?
Yeah.
And understand why it's better to wait on the power plant.
Yes.
It's to our advantage to wait. Concerns from you? Susan?
My list of financial concerns right now are. No, I appreciate, you know, what you guys are considering. I've always, as a community member, understood the benefits of a TIF. But I also understand those who feel like, when a TIF is pursued, that we may be losing.
Some revenue.
But, you know, we need, in the long-term picture, I've always felt like we need the development to increase that AV or for things to come up or to eventually have that gain. If we know this is our baseline, that stays the same over the period of a TIF. So our base doesn't go down. You know, I think it's just. Again, everybody's gonna have a different opinion, but I think it's just trying to see the end game.
So my understanding of the meeting we had the other day with these fellows that. It would probably, these TIF districts would probably be a short-lived TIF district. And would probably be dissolved after. Everything was fully depreciated.
Because that's, you know, kind of what it sounded like he was
Yeah.
saying there is you're looking.
So, you know, they might be in existence for 5 years.
Yeah.
But I feel like we realize a lot more income potential
During
doing that than just let the
the
taxes be, you know, what they are.
I don't feel like we have anything to lose and a lot to gain potentially, and from a board standpoint. We have to be cognizant of possible needs of the school corporation, and if there's lost revenue there. Try to be community minded. And realize we're all on the same team for future projects and depending upon the amount of money that might come into the district. Allow some of that to go toward the school corporation for projects, because from a financial standpoint, going forward, even though we don't know where we're going to be, I think it's pretty obvious that school corporations are going to be in worse shape financially than what we are as a county through Senate Bill 1. That's
And we
that
are.
what, a safe assumption?
Yes. It just sometimes as a reference point, so like when I arrived in 2012 as superintendent, a lot of the central Indiana schools were already feeling the impact of the circuit breakers. And I come here and I'm looking and we had $125,000 in, really very minimal compared to central Indiana school districts, because they would have so much of wiped out their entire transportation budget. We are now up to about 1.2 million on impact of circuit breaker. So time as things play out, or as the comment was made today during your presentation, whenever the property owner is starting to pay more taxes, more people are gonna hit that circuit breaker threshold. And so then we do see more loss. I always hate to say it as a loss, from a property owner standpoint, but for the school, then that is when we start to see the loss. And yes, Senate Bill 1. To be honest, a lot of legislation this last session did not do us any favors, as a school district. And our ADM count is significantly down. So, y'all, as your financial advisor mentioned, you know, debt service and operations are the primary things from property tax. The state tuition affects our education money. So, getting it both ways, right?
Right.
But
Well,
I, just real quick, I would say, I think you guys are in a good position. If you do pursue the declaratory resolution and checking on, you know, if something new comes to light or something changes and you know, you feel like it's not in the best interest, you know, you're not bound.
Right.
And that's good. I mean, it does.
Yeah,
give you time to think.
especially the declaratory resolutions would not be expensive to. The incurrence of that expense would be very, very minimal.
I had to go back into the old software. I didn't find the mega site one, but I'm assuming in 2013, when the Pike Crossing was created, we paid Ice Miller 75.45, 7,500. Yeah, there's a chance that could have been for something else, but the commissioners paid it, so I'm gonna say 2013 is when the Pike Crossing was made. That was when we developed that commission.
Right.
So that may be more than just that. But, so I'd say their estimate was probably spot on.
Okay.
5 to 10, because I know that when we set the TIF district for Pike Crossing, they also created the redevelopment commission at the same time, so. That may be a little bit, but
I think we move on with the plans to pass declaratory resolutions for your end. I don't think we're doing our job if we don't.
need a motion,
I'll take it.
make a motion that we. Reach out, do you wanna go with Ice Miller then, do you want me to reach out to Lisa? Get a
I would.
pricing and stuff on it and see, okay. I'll make that motion to move forward. With the declaratory and reach out to Ice Miller for a quote.
I'll second. Second by Eric. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried 5-0. Next item on the agenda is 2026 spending plan.
So you guys should have in your packets just the original, one that they gave us last year. It has all the list on it. Ours that we actually went with, we just did infrastructure and miscellaneous. So we did one for the mega side, one for, Pike Crossing. With those two, just because most of this didn't apply. But we need to consider our categories and how much we want to put in. I don't think I printed it out, but I did email the balances to everybody.
Right.
So we could start looking those over and kind of have some ideas of where we think. We want to put the money, like I said, this is due December 1st.
Pike Crossing has about 80,000 in it right now. There's a fund balance. And
Does that have the 25,000 out of it for?
yes, it does.
Okay. Couldn't remember because it's just in process.
And a mega sign TIF about 70,000. And that's without the tax draw
December,
that we got in December.
correct.
So I'm perfectly okay with doing something we did similar to last year.
I mean, we won't really, even if we move forward with the TIF district, we won't realize any of that. I mean,
Right.
so we're not gonna be too much over that amount. For 2026 anyways.
It needs to be modified during the year.
I don't know. We never got a real good answer. They said they thought we could, was the last, because I didn't know if we were set in stone when we did that. And the last thing I believe it was Matt from Baker Tilly told us was that they were pretty sure that we could modify it if need be, but I never got a 100% answer on that, so I would think other places have projects come up, but they probably.
Yeah, I don't think so too. You can't be that rigid. Okay. Oh, yeah.
That's all I have was spending plans.
But we're not ready to make decisions today now.
Unless you guys want to. If we know we're meeting again, I would say we wait, but
Yeah, we can.
do we want to set a next meeting or?
Well, we need to. And that might depend upon the attorneys trying to put together the declaratory resolution too. So maybe you can get with me here in the next week or two and.
Yeah, I'll say no today. Okay.
I did anything done.
Yeah, I got it marked.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
For a second. Second. All in favor? Aye.